In this project series video, we're going to be showing you how we went about creating this little flag eagle design. Now the text we actually borrowed from our twin flags set, so you can see here. So we actually stole the text from that because we already had the text. So what we're going to focus on in this video is how we went about creating this eagle. Now this is a great simple project you should be able to do in just a couple of minutes, and we're going to showcase some of the tools here in EasyStone that aren't necessarily something that you use a great deal, but when you need them, it's nice to have them, and this design does a good job showcasing how these tools work. And so perhaps if you're using EasyStone, and maybe you'll come across another design where you can take advantage of some of the tools that we're going to demonstrate. So the first thing that we needed to do was to find out a source image. I kind of had a vision of what I wanted. I wanted to create some kind of like eagle flag type thing. So what I did here is I actually went out to the internet, like I always do, and I actually typed in Falcon clip art. I'm not really sure why, but anyhow, this image kind of spoke to me. And so this is the image that we are actually going to use in our demonstration. Now this particular image, if you click on it, it's actually a ping file. And I should point out to you, in the video description below, we are going to have the project file for you. We're going to have the finished product for you, our finished design, but we're also going to have this little bitmap for you as well if you can't find it on Google Images. So the first step to creating this design is to drag our image, and I just have it sitting there on the desktop. I'm actually going to drag it into CorelDRAW here. It's a pretty small, low quality image. It's not very big at all, but for our purpose we can convert it to a vector very easily. So we're going to go up to our trace bitmap and come down to outline trace, and we're going to choose low quality image, and we'll just kind of let CorelDRAW do its thing. It takes a few seconds depending on the complexity of the detail and so forth, but I think that's fine for our purpose, so we'll go ahead and click OK, and that will convert it to a vector. And so what we have here, you can't really see it, but there's a vector version right on top of our bitmap version. So we'll go ahead and delete that, and now we'll have three birds. Well, we actually only need the top one, so let's just right click and ungroup, and let's go ahead and dispose of the other two. We wouldn't have to do this, but I'm going to give it no fill. So click on this little X right down here. It says no fill. And let's give it an outline. So just pick out any one of these colors you like. I'll do hot pink. That's actually a pretty important little CorelDRAW tip, because it's a very basic thing, I know, but we should know how to turn off the fill, and we should know how to set the outline color as well. And if we want extra credit, we can come up here and give it an outline width, but you don't have to, but it's available to you. Now if you don't see these tools across the top here, it's because we have a custom rhinestone toolbar which you can download in the freebie section, and there's an install video on how to install this custom toolbar here inside CorelDRAW. Alright, so the next thing to do then is to set the size of this design. So in my case, I decided to go about 9 inches. So now you can see my bird is 9 inches wide. The next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to come in here and we're going to draw the 2-point line tool. I'm going to try and use as much of CorelDRAW as I can, and the reason I'm going to try and do that is so that you have a good understanding of CorelDRAW. The better understanding you have of CorelDRAW, the better designer you're going to be as it comes to designing anything, really. So we grabbed our 2-point line tool, we picked a point, we're clicking and dragging with our mouse. If we hold the Shift key down, it'll constrain that horizontal line, vertical line, or certain degrees. It'll snap to, I don't know, every 10 degrees, something like that. But we're going to draw this line wider than the eagle, okay? Just like so. Then what we're going to do is we're going to select nothing. So this line is selected, select nothing. Very important to select nothing here. And the reason for that is because when we have nothing selected, we get a new set of options. Watch what happens here if I select that line. Watch these options right here. If I have something selected, guess what? Those options go away. And that's good. But in this case, we need to have nothing selected because we need these options. And here's one really important thing that's actually really cool in CorelDRAW that a lot of people don't know. And I want to try and figure out how to best demonstrate this. All right, in any numerical field, you see this is a numerical field, this is a numerical field, these are numerical fields. If I come over to my contour docker and I pick something, these two are numerical fields. It's a really neat thing. We don't need it in this particular case necessarily, but I want to show you this. All right, so right now our document units are in inches, correct? So if I want to offset this line a certain amount, I can tell CorelDRAW what I want to offset that line. In my case, I want to offset that line 3.9 mm. So I can actually override whatever the current value is, the current document units is, and when I hit enter, it'll convert my millimeter automatically to an inch dimension. Okay, pretty snazzy, right? But there's actually something a little bit even cooler than that. Sometimes, I don't know exactly how best to give you an idea, but there are times where we need to perform some type of mathematical calculation. We have part of the information and we're trying to figure out mathematically what else we need. In any numerical field within CorelDRAW, we can actually create an equation. So just to give you an idea, what if we were to type in just something simple, like 1 plus 3 in that numerical field there. If we hit enter, see, it automatically gives us 4. So isn't that kind of cool? And that's true of any numerical field. So if we ever needed to calculate some type of value, just go ahead and type it in. Division, multiplication, addition and subtraction, any numerical field works that way. So pretty nifty. Anyhow, in this case, we don't need that. 3.9 millimeters. Enter. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to hit the plus key on our keyboard, hit the up arrow, and then we're going to hit Control D to duplicate. And watch what happens. See how the line just duplicates? And we're just going to hold down Control D, and it'll just keep on duplicating. As long as we hold down Control D, it'll just duplicate, 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 duplicate. Okay? So once we have a whole bunch of lines, then what we're going to do is just drag those lines anywhere over. What I did was I took the top line and I put it right there on the nose of my eagle. Okay? So now what we need to do is we're going to draw a vertical line. Wherever we want to define the blue part of our design. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do some trim operations. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to select our eagle, come over to our editing tab, and these are some nifty functions inside EasyStone. Don't have these tools inside CorelDRAW, so we needed to invent them. And a lot of your macros don't have this type of functionality. So what we want to do is we want to mark the outline of our eagle. So we're going to mark Cut Trim Object. And then we're going to select all of our lines. But here's another nifty CorelDRAW thing if you didn't know about it. In fact, I worked in CorelDRAW a long time before I discovered this little trick. We need to select all these lines because these are the lines we want to trim. And in order to do that, normally we would have to select the entire line. But what we can do if we hold down the Alt key, anywhere that cursor, or that marquee rather, crosses over, all those lines are picked up. So this way we don't have to make a selection of the entire line. We just need one little piece of it. Hold down that Alt key, and that selects all those lines. Now, if we don't type in a value here, we're going to click on Trim. And what that will do is that will trim the line dead on the outline of our eagle. Okay? So let's just go ahead and do that just to show you. Okay, now you don't see anything happen, do you? But let's delete some lines. Watch what happens. Holding my Alt key again, marquee select. We've got a piece of all those, right? Now if we select them all and hit delete, watch what happens. See, all those lines were trimmed right to the boundary of our eagle. Pretty cool, right? So we're going to back up a few steps. Now these lines right now are not trimmed. These are still all one piece. So now we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and we're going to mark our eagle. But this time we're going to for our trim objects, I'm just going to put in like a real small value. We could use 0 if we wanted to. But watch what happens a little bit differently now. Now what we're going to do again, we're going to select all of our lines. And now when we hit trim objects, watch what happens. See what happens? The lines that were touching the eagle have been trimmed back to the edge of the eagle. And the lines that weren't touching the eagle are still just whole lines. It didn't do anything with those. So now we can hit delete. And there you go. Okay? Pretty nifty stuff. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to define a breakpoint here. So this line here, we're going to use it to mark it, and then we need to select all the lines that kind of cross over that. So again, I'm just going to hold down my Alt key, come in here and click and drag. See, I picked up a whole bunch of lines, and then if I hit trim, you're not actually going to see anything happen. But what happened was these lines were trimmed right at that point. Okay? So now what I can do is I can get rid of my eagle. Don't need that no more. So we can go ahead and dispose of that. And now I'm just going to select all these lines right here, and we're going to go with cobalt. So we'll choose add stones. And then all these lines over here, in fact, let's use that Alt key option. We're going to go ahead and make them all crystal. Every darn one of them. Rename and fill. Oh. Well, we don't want to rename and fill. I'm sorry. We need to add stones. And now we've added our stones. Alright, so now we don't need this line anymore. So now that we've done that, I'm just going to come in here and delete all of our stone paths, because you can see all of our stones are attached to a path. So we're going to delete stone paths. And now we can come in here and you can see we actually have stones on top of stones right there. You can see that. Okay, but we'll fix that at the end. And so all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of come in, and what I did is I hand placed a couple of stones to get that looking like I wanted. And then I took these stones and I just used my arrow keys on my keyboard to, well, I'll tell you what, I got a pretty big nudge offset defined. With nothing selected, I'll type in like, I don't know, 1 millimeter, or maybe even 1/10 of a millimeter. So now when we use our arrow keys, let's see, what did I do here? Oh, there we go. I have to type in millimeters. I was typing in 0.01 inches. But now when we use our arrow keys, it's just a really, really small amount of movement. But at any rate, so now you can kind of see we have the basis of our design. So what I did is I just came in here, select the whole lot here, and we'll switch over to light cyan and hit rename and fill. And then what I kind of did is I just skipped every 3 lines. So we'll go ahead and try and grab 3 lines here, and we'll hit rename and fill. So you can see I skipped 3 lines, skip 3 lines. We'll do rename and fill. And if you don't get it right the first time, that's okay. So there's 2. So we'll go back and pick up this one. Looks like I missed it again. There we go. Rename and fill. And then we'll skip 3. And we'll pick up 3. Rename and fill. Well, there. And it just so happened to work out for us that we had 3 more there. So, that was just by chance. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, select the whole design, and we're going to come in here to our miscellaneous tab and check spacing. That will get rid of any overlapping stones, and there's 12 of them. And then what I did, and again, there's really no right or wrong here. Let's switch back to crystal. And what I did is I selected a stone, and then I skipped 2, skip 2, skip 2, skip 2, rename and fill. And then what I did is I skipped 2 lines, I think, or maybe I skipped 1 line. And then I skipped 2 again, skip 2, skip 2, skip 2, skip a line, and then see how I kind of came in? So then I'm going to skip a line and come back. Skip 2, skip 2, skip 2, rename and fill. Oh, I skipped 3. So, see that there? So what I'll do here, I'll just move that. And then we'll shift P to send it space that back part. Don't make those mistakes. Save yourself some time. So we're gonna skip 2, skip 2, skip 2, skip 2, rename and fill. And then we're gonna skip 2 here. And rename and fill. And we'll skip 2, rename and fill. Alright, so that is basically how we took care of the blue. And sometimes when you're designing, it actually helps if we have a weed box behind. So let's do that. And then we're going to just right click on that weed box and lock our object down. And then we can kind of come in here, and what I did is I actually came in here and I took a couple of stones like so, and maybe, and I'm just kind of just doing this. There's really no this is the fun part, because there's no like set rules, you know what I mean? And we're going to hit T for top. That will align these stones right in line with those. And then I'm just using my shift key to constrain a horizontal movement, and then just kind of spreading those out. See, so there's no real right or wrong there. And then we'll just kind of come in here, and what I did is I just deleted some things just to kind of give it a bit of a tattered look, I guess. So however much or however little of that you want to do, it's kind of up to you. And then down here it looked a little too perfect, so I went ahead and kind of did the same thing, just randomly deleting ones. And again, as much or as little as you want. And there, I think, is the finished design. So all I did just to finish it off is go back to our stone tab. We'll hit the simulate key, and that'll swap out all of our stones to give us a nice simulated design. And then what I would do here is select our whole design, go to our stone use report on the miscellaneous tab, give us all of our stone counts. You can see them all here in the overall size of our design. If we click on calculate stone price, it would tell us how much the design cost based on the stone pricing information we have loaded. But I'm going to click on add dimensions right there rather. That will give us our dimensions. And then if we wanted to just maybe spice things up a bit, I like adding little sparkles. So right here we have add bling. I'm going to right click on add bling, and that gives us a little eyedropper where everywhere we click we can add a little sparkle, a little shimmer, a little shine. And you can be as crazy with the sparkles or as free as you want. Wherever you click, you're going to get a little sparkle. And then we're just going to hit the escape key when we're done. If we look at these sparkles right now, see how they're like a sharp little sparkle? Well, watch what happens when I hit the escape key. They become a soft little sparkle. See that? And I prefer that look myself. And we can set that when we go into the Add Bling folder here. So if we click on Add Bling, we can actually see where it says Soften Bling. If that's checked, then the bling shapes that we add when we're doing it with the eyedropper, those will be softened. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this little design. And like I said, I'll post this project file along with the original bitmap for you to take a look at if you want to. Thanks for watching.